Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam or Weagle on Your Overwatch, back with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about one of the coolest new sets of hero fan art and ideas for different abilities and just amazing lore as well that I have ever seen from somebody that doesn't actually work inside of Blizzard. This is some really insane and cool stuff today. Not all of the heroes could just be thrown into Overwatch how they're outlined here. However, there's a lot of abilities that could definitely work in the game. So let me know what you guys think to any of this in the comments, and any ideas or abilities for heroes that you have had. I would love to read through them as well, because I absolutely love stuff like this. So, as you can probably tell just from the opening page here, that this guy is not messing around, and what this is a new set of characters for Overwatch that could be in the game in this guy's eyes, and this is something separate. So we've got Talon, we've got Overwatch. Well, this would be a new group of heroes or villains. It's not necessarily outlined exactly what their motives are throughout this, but this is a set of people that are the members of Nocturnal. Now, there are actually 5 members of Nocturnal, but only 4 heroes, which is a very cool design we'll talk about in just a second. But this is just an incredible piece of artwork and ideas for the game. So I want to start with what I just mentioned, which is actually the last one in the list, but I want to go backwards because these are the Sisters Sidoris or Gemini, and these are actually tank heroes that would be implemented in, and some of the abilities they have could definitely be seen in the game. Even if there's too many abilities for just one of these, that might be a true criticism of it. Just the way that some of these are could be awesome for Overwatch if implemented in the right way. So the two sisters are Penelope and Moira, and the first thing I want to highlight actually is the shift ability that this guy's got noted down, which means you can swap between these two heroes in the middle of the game. Now, of course, this would have a cooldown and would probably have some kind of transition effect like Doomfist's ult would have, probably just to get you out of there a little bit, but also bring back the other hero. There'd probably be quite a big cooldown on this, but it's a concept that isn't in the game yet. The nearest thing is like Diva's mech or something. So this is just a really awesome idea, I think, for Overwatch in general, to have like a 2-part hero. This, of course, is seen in fighting games often, but we've also got some really interesting passives here. So we'll start with Penelope's, which is damage taken is reduced by 10% for each fallen ally. Now, this is interesting in concept because at the end of a team fight, when maybe you've lost a few people, but so have the enemies, all of a sudden you're taking way less damage, maybe making you win out that team fight just through the fact you can take more damage. So that's a really cool idea, and the one that I really like is actually Hellbent from Moira's passive ability, which means that the lower your health is, the faster you can move and attack, which again, in theory, just sounds like it could be applied to lots of different heroes that could be in the game, and again, just a really awesome ability overall. Now, if we look at Penelope's actual abilities, we have the Lancesis Pinion, and I'm going to pronounce some of these wrong, so I'm sorry for that, but Lancets that leech energy, increasing your maximum health. Now, what's important about this is what goes along with the rest of the kit as well, because while you are leeching maximum health, you are probably using the temporal link ability, which would redirect 20% of your allies' damage to you instead. So you'd be increasing your max health with the pinion, but the temporal link would actually be wrecking you in the face with extra damage. So you would be effectively a face tank, and I think this is just a really cool idea in concept. Now, the ultimate, again, is all about being really tanky. This, of course, would be an off-tank support kind of hero, even though it is outlined as a tank. And this means that maximum damage thrown at you from everything anyone does is capped at 5% of your max health. So say you've used your pinion and your tank has got to 600 health, well, the most damage you're going to be able to take in one go is 30, even if it's a Diva ult or whatever it may be. So this, again, is like a massive end fight swing where you just pretty much can't die if you're being healed at all. So just, again, a really cool concept for Penelope. Now, Moira is the other tank who is slightly different. So we have the Atropus Shear, which says Deadly Blade slashes, nullify projectiles. So if you're using this ability, I guess it's a little bit like Genji's Deflect, where it will just eat up things coming towards you. Now, it does say projectiles, but maybe it probably would just eat up damage in general, not just projectiles. But again, pretty cool. Now, Ultimate Upheaval, Rise from the Grave as the Revenant. Now, there's so much lore written under all of this that I don't know exactly what this is, but you obviously come back to life and wreck stuff. So this is a pretty crazy ability. It sounds like we have Lay Claim as well, which means you dash to a target, attacking enemies' screens go dark. So when you attack someone, it's kind of like a flashbang effect, but opposite, and it just makes them not be able to see properly for a certain amount of time. And there is also Spite on here as well, so enemies can only see you. Attacking enemies have increased cooldowns. So again, this whole kit for both of these different characters is about things shooting you, and you being the main thing that's taking the damage so that your team can deal out other damage elsewhere. This is, of course, not insanely balanced. If you think about it, it could be really OP, or it could even be underpowered, depending on how, if you swap from Moira to Penelope, do you lose the buffs that you gained from the pinion? Things like that. We don't know, right? This is just theory, but really, really cool theory. Let me know what you think to this hero, guys. We're going to take a move on now to the Farad Mangalan, or Smolder. Now, there's obviously a lot of mythology and stuff gone into the thoughts of these characters, and this guy's pretty cool too. He says he's a defense hero. His main ability, I would assume, is like his attack is Induction Rod. Staff launches orbs that deal splash damage. So maybe this guy's more of an in-your-face, stab-you-in-the-face kind of hero like Doomfist, but he obviously has this launch ability where he can send out some of these orbs to do damage. We have Magnetic Shield, which empowers yourself and ally barriers to absorb energy attacks. So, you know, he'd probably slam his staff down, and then things coming in from certain types of weapons, by the looks of this idea, would then be absorbed and would either nullify or do way less damage. We have Particle Hostility, which links between two enemies that deal damage to them when they are near each other. So I assume you would cast this on two different enemies, and the nearer they are to each other, the more damage they take over a certain period of time. This is really cool and reminds me of Tether in Destiny, where if you are tethered, you take more damage, and some perks may allow that damage to be transferred to other people that are near it. So this is a similar kind of thing. The nearer they are, the more damage they both take. So again, another ability that's not in Overwatch and is perfectly plausible if balanced correctly. So just really cool. And finally, we have Arc Flare, which sends out a bolt of energy that sets enemies on fire. Now, it doesn't explain anything past that, of course. This could just be seriously OP, or it could just be a small amount of damage over time, a little bit like Widowmaker's Mine, or it could mean that when they're on fire, they take damage more from melee or something. It's not explicitly explained, but again, could be twisted in many ways to be a very cool ability. The next one we're going to go on to is actually the first one I saw of this guy before I realized he'd just done like an entire set of things, and this is actually the Imp. And the Imp is a kind of support hero but doesn't seem to have much healing. However, again, the abilities and the ideas are just really cool. So Fiend Canister, I am assuming, is this guy's main attack. So Fiend Canisters, they emit harmful Fiend nano machines when thrown. So if it hits someone, it does more damage. Well, you also have an ability over here called Dive Bomb, which means when you press it, you can actually fly to them and definitely guarantee a hit on the canisters. So maybe the canisters are quite difficult to land in general. He has Smokescreen, which is a cloud that obscures allies from view and clears your status effects. So if this is kind of like a status effect hero that clears a lot of stuff, maybe he can't come into the game yet, but it's a very good idea in concept. Things like Anna's Nade in particular, or May's Freeze, being able to pop this smoke screen down in the middle of a May ult, or to clear an anti-nade that just happened. It's just genius. It just fits perfectly. We also have Stim Pack, which enhances your agility, climb, and makes you be able to stick to walls, which is actually an early Genji concept. And his passive is Fiend Blooded, which means physical ailments are halved in effect. So I don't know exactly what this means. Could be overpowered if it means everything, could be fine if it means certain melees or something like that. Now the ultimate here is what I really like, because it's one we've spoken about before, and I know it will raise some concerns about abuse, but people abuse the game anyway. But Fog of War is a cloud of fiend mites that enables friendly fire on enemies. So what would happen is anyone that gets affected by this ultimate Fog of War would not be able to tell the difference between their enemies and their teammates. So you would just be shooting and hoping you got an enemy. And in fact, even if you did try to troll, even though you never would in a competitive game because you're trying to win most of the time, even if you tried to troll, the chances are you wouldn't know who was on your team anyway, and you might end up shooting an enemy. So in concept, actually, I don't think it's as broken as it sounds on the face of it. And I think with a little bit of balancing is an ability we could definitely see in Overwatch at some point. If not, at least see it tested or be able to try these things in private match, because some of these ideas are just so cool. And some of them will definitely work with the right amount of love and care put into them. So the last hero here is kind of like a female Soldier 76, I guess, and some of the lore is that she was trained under Reaper when he was Gabriel Reyes. And again, another cool concept, so let's break this thing down. So Marksman Rifle looks fairly similar to something that Soldier 76 would wield, but this is actually a semi-automatic weapon. So it's like a scout rifle from Destiny, basically a single fire, but usually can shoot them fairly fast, depending on how accurate you want to be. So a very similar rifle kind of weapon to 76, but also different at the same time. Now, Williams has a friend who you cannot just swap to permanently, but it's called T-Dar, and T-Dar seems to be some kind of tiger, lion, cat, animal mech thing, and T-Dar has the ability to be swapped to and grants vision of enemies from a different point of view. Now, this doesn't explain whether T-Dar is just prowling out of the map and it just gives you some information on what the enemies are doing. Maybe it'll show you if they've got an ultimate or something. That's not explicitly explained. But again, a cool concept that I've heard talked about before, and at some point maybe we could see in the future. She also has enhanced targeting. Target deals less damage when hit and reveals ultimate and ability. So I find this one hard to read and understand what this is supposed to do. It sounds like you can see what the enemies are doing, but they take less damage. I don't know if I'm reading that right or reading that wrong, but I read it many times before making this video, and I kind of find it hard to figure out what's going on. But basically some kind of way of seeing the ultimate and their abilities and what their cooldowns are. So something to do with, like I said, with the T-Dar, that this character is probably going to do quite good damage from the Marksman Rifle, but a lot of the rest of her kit would be in the Recon. Now, her passive is Trench Warfare, which means if you crouch by an object, you take less headshot damage. Now, again, this one I'm balancing, cool in concept, maybe not in application, but just a good idea. Now, the ultimate is Dragon Rage, which seems to mean that the T-Dar turns into a mobile suit, so you basically get into a diva mech, and for a certain amount of time, you can actually pierce enemy barriers and armor, and just basically wreak havoc on everything. So this would be like exactly getting into Diva's mech and just wrecking everything. So these abilities, a lot of them are very applicable into Overwatch at some point in some variation. Of course, not all of them at the same time, because that'd be just crazy and the game would explode. Is it worse than Res every 30 seconds though? You'll have to tell me. But just really cool, and I love seeing some positivity, people making stuff for the game that's never even going to be in the game just because they love the game so much. So let me know what you guys think to this, any of the abilities you would like to see, any that aren't mentioned that you would like to see, and if you're as genius as this guy Drew, then just DM us on Twitter, just let us know. We'd love to see it and share it with people. I will link everything, of course, in the description as always, guys. Be sure to drop a like, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. Be sure to check out our Twitter as well, because we're going to start trialing some streams again, and these streams are going to consist of playing with you guys more than anything. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.